Chapter 1. Forgotten Blueprints. Forgotten blueprints, standing in the heart of an ancient city, surrounded by towering stone structures that seem to whisper stories of a time long past. The wind carries the faint echoes of people who once walked these streets. It's as if each stone, laid carefully upon the other, is trying to tell us a secret about how things were built, back in a time before books and libraries held all our knowledge. All these ancient buildings, intricate and enduring, make you wonder, what if the folks who built them had some special knowledge that time has slowly erased from our memories? Walking through these deserted spaces, you might see arches that reach for the sky, or pillars that stand like soldiers, sturdy and upright, despite the harsh winds and rains of ages. Did the builders have blueprints etched in sand or stone? Maybe they had hands skilled enough to draw entire cities in their minds before laying the very first brick. Think for a moment. Perhaps these mysterious architects had a wealth of scientific understanding that we can only dream of today. Imagine they knew how to align their creations perfectly with the stars and the sun. It's like they used the heavens as a map, laying out their temples and houses in harmony with the rhythm of the earth. Maybe this knowledge even stretched beyond the stars. They might have understood the subtle energies of the earth, using them to bring their buildings to life. Picture yourself discovering an ancient scroll hidden deep within the wall of a decrepit ruin. The parchment unfolds to reveal lines and symbols that don't quite make sense at first. They're not like the letters and numbers we are used to, but each character and curve has meaning. Perhaps these marks tell about materials that resist decay, formulas that make mud bricks strong as stone, or ways to purify water and grow food even in the harshest conditions. Maybe something as simple as how they mixed their mortar made a massive difference in how long their buildings could stand. Could it be that ancient architects also understood how to build sustainably, using techniques we'd call green today? They might have designed systems to heat, cool, and ventilate their homes without a single spark of what we now call electricity. Sunlight pouring in from precisely angled windows at just the right times. Fresh air moving through cleverly crafted openings, nothing wasted. Every element precisely placed for maximum efficiency. And what about the sounds echoing off the stone walls? Perhaps every room, every hallway, and every open space played a part in a grand symphony of life. Maybe their builders knew how to turn a simple stone chamber into a place where chants and music reached deep into the soul, where a voice speaking softly could carry tremendous power, touching the hearts of all who gathered to listen. Let's not forget the secrets of their survival. Could it be that they were aware of forces, either seen or unseen, that protected their creations from earthquakes, floods, or other disasters? Ingenious ways to distribute weight, using balance like a tightrope walker, keeping their buildings stable and safe. Imagine that these lost techniques extended beyond just the physical building. Perhaps there was an understanding of community and space. Maybe every plaza, every road was designed to bring people together, to celebrate life's moments under the open sky, to create memories that linger long after the echoes of voices have faded. Over time, an idea as captivating as any legend emerges. Maybe the knowledge wasn't really lost, just tucked away, passed down through stories, art, and practices that have evolved beyond recognition, like a jigsaw puzzle scattered across centuries, waiting for us to piece it back together, bit by bit. Every puzzle piece scattered across countries and cultures, waiting in art and myth for some curious heart to see the connections and remember what once was known. As we turn back towards the present, Holding those forgotten ideas close, our minds and hearts begin to wonder if we too can unearth this knowledge. By doing so, we might discover new ways to build not just structures, but communities rooted deeply in the wisdom of the past. Imagine if one day, in the not-too-distant future, we blend this ancient wisdom with modern technology, merging old and new to create something beautiful, enduring, and wiser than we've ever dared before. Dream a little dream of what might have been or could yet be, inspired by the wonders of those who came before us. The stones, the structures, and the stories they hold are waiting for the next chapter, one that we might yet write, if only we listen closely enough to the whispered secrets of the old world. Chapter 2: Secrets in Stone. Imagine a world where ancient structures hold more than just stories of the past. What if they were built with secrets we have yet to fully understand? This idea opens up a big mystery that takes us on a journey across the globe, from the towering pyramids of Egypt to the hidden temples in the dense jungles of Central America. Each stone and each carving could contain answers to questions we haven't even thought to ask yet. Let's take a leisurely walk down the paths of history, where stones may tell tales beyond their apparent silence. Picture this: every rock in a pyramid or every brick in a temple is like a page from a very old book, holding mysteries written in a language we've forgotten how to read. Over the years, many experts have tried to figure these secrets out. Some believe these structures were built with skills and knowledge we have lost over time. Take the pyramids of Giza, for example. It's still a puzzle how people moved those massive stones without the help of modern machinery. Just think about that for a second. Each block is as heavy as a small truck, yet they are stacked so neatly that even a piece of paper can't slip in between them. Was it simply hard work and clever design, or did they know something we don't? Maybe these builders used sound or magnets or even some kind of force we are not aware of. Now, move across the ocean to the Maya temples of Central America. These structures have staircases, carvings, and alignments that seem to match the stars above. How did they know so much about the sky while living deep in the jungle without the technology we have today? It's as if their buildings were designed as giant stone calendars, helping them understand and track the movements of the stars. Could there have been an advanced understanding of astronomy and mathematics that got lost somewhere? There's another fascinating place many talk about: Stonehenge in England. Huge stones placed in a circle, and nobody quite knows why. Was it a temple, a calendar, or something else entirely? Some say the stones were brought from far away, over land and water, using methods we've forgotten. Why go through all that trouble? Maybe the stones, their positions, or even the site itself holds some hidden power or meaning we don't yet grasp. Moving our gaze across the lands, let's not forget about the great structures in India, like the ancient temples of the south. These temples have carvings that depict stories and sometimes even seem to predict the future or unexplained events. Interestingly, many of these sites are built in specific patterns or alignments. Some people think there could be energy lines crisscrossing the earth, and that these buildings were lined up with them on purpose. Could it be that ancient builders knew how to tap into Earth's energy to make their structures more than just stone and art? All of these places, some shrouded in legend, spark the imagination. The interesting part is that they share stories, methods, or skills that might have been passed down through time but are hidden under layers of history and dust. If true, it poses a thrilling question. What happened to that ancient wisdom? Did it fade away gradually, or was it hidden carefully awaiting discovery. This sense of lost knowledge pushes us to look within and dig deep. Some adventurers, archaeologists, and thinkers believe if we study these sites closely, listen to their stories, and draw connections, we might rediscover at least a slice of that ancient understanding. It could change the way we see the past, the present, and the future. Our journey through these old stones is far from over. Imagine if we could regain that knowledge. What could we achieve today? Could it change how we build our cities or explore the universe? Or maybe it would simply enhance how we understand the world and our place within it. The beauty of it all is that the answers lie just beneath the surface, waiting like a treasure chest buried in plain sight. Seeking and discovering them might be as simple as learning to read the language of stones, deciphering messages embedded in their stoic silence, and piecing together a puzzle that spans across centuries and continents. There's a thrill in the not knowing, the wonder in the exploration, and above all, the joy of unraveling the secrets that were always there, patiently waiting for us to find. Chapter 3: Masters of Geometry. Have you ever looked at a map of the world and noticed how many of the oldest places have the most amazing shapes? Think about the pyramids in Egypt, the massive stone circles in Europe, or the temples in South America. It's like they were made by people who knew things we've forgotten now. I like to imagine what it would be like to sit next to one of these old, wise builders and watch them work. They must have had some kind of secret knowledge or skills that went beyond just stacking stones on top of each other. Imagine walking on the sands of Egypt thousands of years ago. The sun would be beating down, casting long shadows over the desert. You'd hear the low hum of people talking, working together to build something that would last forever. But how did they know where to place each stone so perfectly? Without all the tools we have today, how did they make something so grand and precise? Some people believe that these builders had a deep understanding of shapes and space that we can't fully grasp now. They knew about geometry, not just as an abstract idea, but as something magical and real. Geometry itself is simply the study of shapes, lines, points, and how they all fit together. Today, we learn it in school with rulers and protractors, but back then, they might have seen it as a way to connect with the universe or even the gods. Picture a group of ancient architects gathered around a dusty table, laying out plans not just with sketches but with symbols that held power and meaning. Maybe they used ropes tied to stakes to make perfectly straight lines or perfect circles. I bet they watched the stars closely, using them as guides to align their structures with the heavens. Now, let's think about a stone circle standing silent on a grassy field, maybe in the chilly air of an early morning in Britain. We call them stones, but they are like frozen moments in time. Each stone was likely placed in such a way that on certain days, when the sun rose or set, the light would hit just right, casting shadows that told stories or hinted at cycles of the moon and the seasons. They didn't have clocks or calendars like ours, so maybe these structures were their way of understanding time, reading it in the landscape and sky. Record keeping was different too. There were no big books filled with plans or blueprints like we use today. Instead, their knowledge was probably passed down through stories and teachings. Each generation learned from the one before. Perhaps they used simple tools or drawings in the sand. But what if they had more? Maybe they had knowledge or tools that were lost to time, burned away in the fires of history, or simply forgotten as the world changed, and new ideas took their place. Let's hop across an ocean to the jungles of Central America. Deep within the lush trees and tangled vines stand the ruins of ancient cities. Picture them now as they once might have been, bustling with life. Music echoing through the streets, bright colors painted everywhere. The temples here reach up towards the sky, almost like stairways. How were these structures designed? Did they have some secret to lifting heavy stones? Or perhaps they knew how to shape the earth just right to support such structures. And again, geometry seems to be at the heart of it all. Triangles, circles, and other shapes appear again and again in their designs. Were these shapes simply for beauty, or did they hold some deeper purpose? Maybe the lost knowledge wasn't just about building, but about using buildings to understand the world and our place in it. It's fascinating to think about how these ancient builders knew just what materials to use, how to fit everything together, without the benefit of modern machinery. Over time, the mystery only deepens when we consider how such knowledge can seem both simple and profound. Each line and angle holds a piece of the puzzle, echoing skills passed from teacher to student through countless generations. It makes one wonder about the people themselves. Did they have special schools or secret societies for teaching these skills? Were the master builders seen as people with major status, having powers that others wanted to learn? If geometry was more than just math, perhaps it was a kind of ancient wisdom, a language by which they communicated with the cosmos. Nowadays, we rely on technology to solve problems and build our dreams into reality. Yet, isn't it comforting to think that long ago, people relied on their minds, on watching the stars, and on secrets whispered through time to create wonders we still see today? What if, hidden amongst the mysteries of history, there lies a simple truth connecting us all to the ancients who came before? Maybe, in those forgotten lessons, we could find a new way of seeing the world, a vision as timeless and perfect as the structures they left behind. Chapter 4: The Art of Alignment. Imagine a time long, long ago when the world was filled with mysteries and the stars seemed to watch over us like silent guardians. People back then were different from today in many ways, yet similar in the most important ones. They were curious. They wondered about the world around them, just as we do now. Buildings and monuments weren't just places to live or grand statues to look at. They had a deeper meaning, a hidden purpose that might still echo through time, whispering secrets of a lost art. Think about those old structures you've seen pictures of, or maybe even visited. The pyramids rising tall in the desert, the stone circles standing silent on green hills, the temples carved carefully into mountainsides. Each one is more than just stone and mortar. It's a message from the past. Some say they were built using knowledge that has slipped through the cracks of history, a kind of knowing that we no longer hold. Back then, aligning things was more than just putting them in order. It was about harmony, about using everything around you to make one big, beautiful picture. When they built, they didn't just use tools and plans. They looked at the stars, felt the wind on their skin, and listened to the whispers in the trees. They thought about light and shadow, the way the sun danced across the land, and how the moon rose in the night sky. To build something meant to bring nature together with human hands, to make a space that was alive with the world around it. Think about the pyramids, for instance. They aren't just giant triangles sitting in the sand. People believe they were built using special numbers and star patterns. Each side faces a different direction, exactly the right way. It's like the builders had maps, not just of the land, but of the stars above. They might have used the stars to measure time and space, making sure everything lined up perfectly in some places. Like Stonehenge, with its great ring of stones, people suggest the stones were placed in a way that let them track the sun and the moon. Imagine being able to stand among those stones and know exactly when the longest day or the longest night would come, just by where the sun rose or set between the rocks. It must have been like having a giant stone calendar that could tell you when to plant your crops or when a season was about to change. Even in places like the temples, tucked away in dense forests or high on mountain peaks, the idea of alignment was the same. Builders chose the spot carefully, often picking places where the earth itself seemed to speak. Some of these temples face the sunrise on special days each year, like when a new season begins. As the sun rises, it lights up the insides of the temple in a way that feels almost magical, touching carvings or statues that have waited a whole year to see the dawn. The builders knew the land and its rhythms. They listened to the stories told by their ancestors about the earth and sky. They saw patterns in the way birds flew, in the weather, in the stars that wheeled overhead each night. They learned to read these signs and used them to guide their hands. This was a kind of knowledge we've set aside, traded for newer ways of building that use concrete and steel instead of starlight and shadow taught today. When we build, we focus more on speed, efficiency, and profit. We look down at blueprints and computer screens. Rarely do we tilt our heads to the sky to see where we fit in the vast web of stars. The old ways remind us that building something can be much richer, much more intertwined with the universe we are part of. There's a different kind of wisdom there. One that doesn't just create a structure, but creates a story that's told for generations. So, what if those old buildings weren't just places to live or prance around? What if they were like time machines of a sort, places where the wisdom of the past lit the path to the future? They might have been built so that future generations like us could stand there, touch the stones, look up, and see what they saw. It's an invitation to think about what we might have lost, what we still have to learn, and how we might start listening again to the whispers of the world around us. Maybe, if we start to think more like the people who built these wonders, we could find ways to bring more harmony and balance into our own lives, creating not just buildings, but worlds where every piece fits perfectly with the others, backed by the silent wisdom of those who came before us. Chapter 5: Echoes of Innovation. Imagine walking through a large old city. The sun is low in the sky, giving everything a soft, golden glow. Now, picture towering structures around you, but these are not just any old buildings. These are incredible feats of engineering and design, created by people who knew things we can't even imagine today. Thousands of years ago, people might have had secrets, not in the sneaky way we think of secrets now, but more like special knowledge about how the world works. Maybe they knew things about materials and energy, about building and space, that we have only begun to scratch the surface of today. It's possible, right? Human history is so long, and we've only got a small part written down. Some of it was lost over time, swept away by the winds of change, war, and time itself. But what if, somehow, those secrets stayed hidden inside these ancient structures, whispering to those who listen closely enough? Walking through this city, you might notice that each building seems perfectly placed. It's like everything has a purpose, a reason for being right where it is. The tall towers might catch the wind in a certain way, maybe channeling it through invisible pathways to cool the homes inside. Perhaps the stones are not just any stones, but those that harness the sun's energy in a very special way. Every carving, every adornment could serve a purpose beyond just looking pretty. Maybe those intricate designs are part of a bigger plan, like pieces of a puzzle that help keep everything in balance. Imagine how people from all over would come to see these wonders. Amazed by the stories and whispers that filled the air, they might have learned or shared stories of the builders, possibly priests or wise elders who knew the secrets of the earth, the stars, the winds, and the waters. Maybe these builders had ways to move giant stones with ease, understanding how to use the earth's magnetic fields, or perhaps sound waves, in ways we can't yet fathom. Every evening, the city may glow with a gentle, natural light, not from any kind of electricity we recognize today, but from a harmony with our world that's hard to find now. Picture gardens on rooftops, capturing rain and feeding the air with oxygen. These aren't just places to grow food or flowers, but carefully planned spaces that sustain life and renew the spirit of those who walk among them. It's fun to imagine what these cities were like. Maybe the people back then believed in caring for the earth, working alongside nature rather than against it. They might have seen themselves as guardians of wisdom, handed down from generation to generation. They understood the cycles of nature, the timing of the stars, and the mysteries of the deep, dark oceans. They knew that everything is connected, so they built with care and intent, leaving echoes of their knowledge etched into stone and earth. As you wander through the city, it's easy to see how peaceful it feels. They might have known how to make life simple yet rich, using the resources around them in ways that would seem like magic to us now. The air could be filled with the scent of fresh herbs, the sound of flowing water, and the warm, welcoming hum of people gathering to share stories and laughter under the open sky or in the comforting shelter of their ancient homes. These structures, ancient and majestic, perhaps still have something to teach us. They stand as a reminder that maybe, just maybe, the past was more advanced than we sometimes think. They silently challenge us to open our minds to possibilities, to hear the whispers of ancient wisdom, softly encouraging us to look deeper into the world around us. There's a whole world hidden in stone, waiting for those who are curious enough and patient enough to listen to its gentle, ancient songs. Life back then, as mysterious and wondrous as it might have been, leaves shadows of its brilliance echoing into our modern world. Chapter 6. Celestial Architects. Imagine a world where the ancient builders of pyramids and temples had knowledge that was lost over time. These builders weren't just working with basic tools and pure strength. They had secrets, wisdom, and maybe even abilities far beyond what we understand today. It's fun to think about what the world might have looked like if these grand structures were crafted not just with stones and bricks, but with ideas and techniques that came from a place we can only wonder about. Picture those ancient architects standing on the banks of the Nile, watching the sun rise with golden light spilling over the waters. They have a strange kind of map, not made of paper and ink, but something else entirely. It shows them where each stone should go, aligning precisely with the stars way above in the sky. Some people believe these builders understood the movements of the heavens better than most folks today. While we use telescopes and computers, they had a different kind of wisdom that saw the universe as a friend, guiding them in their work. They might have known how to tap into energies around them, maybe from the earth below or the skies above. Imagine if they had a way to move giant stones with ease, almost like they were weightless. Perhaps they whispered words or played sounds that made the rocks dance into position. It's a wild idea, but it's one that fills our minds with wonder about what might have been possible long ago. These ancient builders weren't alone. They worked as part of a community, with each person having a special role. Some drew plans in the sand, sketching out the grand designs. Others took these ideas and turned them into reality. Maybe they even included secret symbols or hidden messages in their work that only a few could understand. These symbols might have been keys to unlocking even more of their lost knowledge as they worked. They likely felt a deep connection with the earth beneath their feet and the sky above their heads. Perhaps they believed their structures served a purpose beyond what we see. Temples and pyramids weren't just buildings but bridges to the divine, their shapes and sizes chosen to harmonize with the world around them. Who knows what secrets were whispered in secret circles by torchlight, and what dreams inspired these ancient designs? It wasn't just temples and pyramids. Across the world, many cultures built incredible things. From the temples of Greece to the mysterious sites in the Americas, each held its own bag of tricks and methods. Maybe they even shared ideas, travelers carrying knowledge across lands and seas. However they did it, the results were extraordinary, leaving behind wonders that continue to baffle and amaze. Sometimes, people today look at these designs and wonder, could we do that again? And while we have machines and technology, there's something magical about thinking these original creators worked with the world in a way we're no longer able to grasp. Maybe understanding the full power of what they did would require opening our minds to new possibilities, or even rediscovering parts of these old secrets. These ancient wonders keep inviting us to look closer and think deeper. As we gaze at their mighty works and dream about how they did it, we find ourselves wondering about our own place in the world. Could we learn from these ancient architects? Could their ways teach us how to live in better harmony with our planet? As long as these structures stand, they will always keep part of their magic alive, inviting us to dream and ponder about what once was and what might still be. This story of mysterious ancient builders invites us into a world rich in creativity and hidden knowledge. Maybe somewhere, some part of their wisdom is just waiting to be found again, if only we're curious and bold enough to seek it. And as we keep searching, one can't help but smile at the thought that there's always more to discover when it comes to the wonderful past and the limitless future it inspires. Chapter 7: Unseen Technologies. Imagine if long ago, people knew things we can only dream of today. Picture pyramids, temples, and giant statues built with incredible skill. Now, think about how they did these things without the machines and tools we depend on today. What if they had special knowledge, lost over time, allowing them to do amazing feats with ease? Take the Great Pyramids of Egypt. Huge stones fit together perfectly, so tight you can't even slide a piece of paper between them. We wonder how they moved these giant blocks when the wheel was still a brand new invention. Scientists have lots of ideas, but no one really knows for sure. Maybe they had a special way of using levers, counterweights, or other clever tricks we have forgotten. On the other side of the world, the Inca people built Machu Picchu high in the Andes. The stones are cut so well, fitting together without mortar, and their terraces carved neatly into the mountainside. It's like nature bent to their will. They grew enough food on these terraces to feed everyone. What were their secrets? Did they understand the earth better and use its power in ways we can only guess at now? In Greece, the temples stand tall with elegant columns. They built these without modern cranes or power tools. They even knew how to make columns slightly curved to look straight to the human eye, a trick of perspective. Did they have unseen geometric principles or knowledge of balance that made this possible? Now let's talk about a place deep in the heart of what is now Cambodia, Angkor Wat. This temple complex is kind of like a stone city. It is huge with detailed walls and towering spires. It was built to honor the gods and show the king's power. But how did they make it so precise over such a large area with no small errors? How did they keep this magical city looking perfect from every angle? Some think they knew things about the stars and seasons that we might not fully understand, using them to plan and build. There is an idea that they might have used light from the stars to guide their construction, aligning temples and pyramids perfectly with the night sky. Maybe they knew how to use the Earth's magnetic fields, or they found other ways to make structures that last for centuries. In the British Isles, the stone circles like Stonehenge stand mysterious and quiet. Ginormous stones are set in a circle, and though we have learned a little about them, much remains a mystery. How were these stones moved, and for what purpose did they build them? Some say they were using sound or vibration to slowly move the stones without the need for many workers, a lost method of construction that seems like fantasy today. In the Americas, there are long lines across the ground in the desert of Peru that form animals, plants, and geometric shapes that can only be seen from high above. They were made by removing a dark layer of earth to reveal the lighter earth below. Why were they made, and how did they plan and create something so large? Were they messages to the gods in the sky? Or did they serve another purpose we can no longer grasp? And, finally, in the far north, Viking structures puzzle us. Timber and stone were used to create sturdy buildings capable of surviving harsh winters. They didn't have written blueprints, but still managed to make homes that were warm and safe. They understood the materials in their surroundings so well and had ingenious solutions to these challenges. Employing knowledge passed down through stories and practice, these ancient masterminds might have communicated with one another through more advanced networks than we recognize. Did they share knowledge in secret ways that never made it into history books? What other secrets did these ancient builders hold? Even though we have smartphones, computers, and satellites, maybe there's still plenty left to learn from those who came before us. Do we sometimes overlook simple, clever ideas because we're dazzled by what's new? Could it be possible that we are missing pieces of the great puzzle? Perhaps somewhere in these lost methods there are keys to creating sustainable societies, keeping in better harmony with the planet than we manage today. Imagine if by learning from the past, we could solve some of our biggest problems. The more we discover, the more questions we have, which is exciting and a little scary. Though these wonders stand as monuments to what humans can dream and achieve, perhaps their greatest gift is reminding us to keep looking, listening, and imagining ways that seemed impossible until someone made them real. Chapter 8: Mystical Materials. Imagine walking through a peaceful forest where the air feels different. It smells like a mix of fresh leaves and something you can't quite put your finger on. As you wander deeper, towering stones rise before you, forming an ancient temple. Now, let's stop and think. These stones that have stood here for ages are made from something special, something that's not from today's world. What if the people from the past knew secrets about materials that we've forgotten? Long ago, builders didn't have the massive machines we do today. They didn't have computers to help design or measure, yet, somehow, they built enormous structures that have lasted for thousands of years. How did they do it? One idea is that they used special materials, much like we use super strong materials in our skyscrapers today. But what were these materials, and how did they use them? Picture this. You are an architect in ancient times. You need to build a giant pyramid that will take the breath away of anyone who sees it for generations to come. You know that ordinary stone won't do the job, so you turn to the wisdom passed down through your ancestors. You start with regular stones, which are strong but need something extra to hold them together. So, you mix sand and bits of crushed shells or volcanic ash to make a binding material. This mix, known only to a select few, is strong like glue but as flexible as clay when wet, letting you shape it exactly how you want. Once it dries, it becomes as solid as the rock itself. Some think the builders might have created a type of ancient concrete far beyond the one we have today. Then there's the idea that these builders knew how to use crystals. Sound odd, perhaps? But crystals wouldn't be for decoration alone. They have natural properties we're just starting to understand. Imagine using them in such a way that they help to amplify light or stabilize huge structures. These natural items could help stones stick together better or even make them weather-resistant. The people of long ago also understood and used metals differently than we do today. They might have mixed different metals to create alloys with special powers, like resisting rust or becoming super lightweight. Take, for example, orichalcum, a legendary metal mentioned in tales of ancient cities. Some say it might have been real, a unique metal that's been lost to us, possibly even having properties we can't replicate with modern science. And what about the finishes applied to buildings? These weren't just for looks. Ancient workers could have added secrets into the varnish. There could be hidden compounds that prevent aging or protect against earthquakes. Such knowledge might have been guarded closely, shared only among the master builders and their apprentices. Over time, as those cultures met challenges or faded away, so did their precious secrets about these magical. Let's not forget about wood. The thought of using wood seems ordinary, right? Yet, certain trees may have had qualities now lost. Special oils or saps from the trees could be blended into the materials, making them stronger when used correctly. How many times have we found wooden artifacts from thousands of years ago, still intact, hiding in the sands or deep under the sea? Now, picture this ancient, sturdy temple again. Every detail has been thought out with precision unknown today. It's not only about the materials. It's about placement and understanding how the earth itself plays a role. The stones, metals, and oils worked with the sun and the moon, making for a structure that was not merely a building but part of the earth, sky, and universe. The trees rustle as the wind picks up, just slightly, as if whispering secrets from the past. The world was a vast place filled with mystery, a time where people blended natural elements in ways we can only guess. Perhaps they listened and learned from nature, guided by traditions lost over time. We may never fully grasp what truly went into making these resilient and beautiful structures of the past, but the possibility remains tantalizing, inspiring us to look deeper into history, to dream, and maybe, one day, to rediscover some of the lost knowledge ourselves. Wouldn't that be something? Until then, the of the ancients remain one of history's greatest enigmas, an untold story etched in stone, waiting to be heard by those who dare to listen. Chapter 9: Engineering Marvels. Imagine a world where ancient builders had secrets that we've never quite figured out. Picture grand structures that seem like they could belong in a sci-fi movie. How did they build such wonders? What if they had knowledge passed down, whispered from one master builder to another, that somehow got lost along the way? Let's start with the Great Pyramids of Egypt. Most of us have seen pictures or maybe even visited them. They're massive and super impressive, built with huge stones placed so perfectly that, even today, we're not entirely sure how they did it. Now, imagine if those ancient Egyptians had tools and techniques that have completely disappeared. Maybe they had a way to make the stones lighter, or used sounds to move them, kind of like magic, but with science. It's fun to think that they might have had some kind of advanced math or science tricks that we haven't cracked yet. It makes you wonder, right? But it's not just the pyramids. Let's fly across the ocean to South America, where the ancient Inca people built Machu Picchu high up in the mountains. The stone walls are put together so tightly that you can't even fit a piece of paper between some of the stones. It's a real head-scratcher how they managed that without any mortar. There's a bit of mystery dust around this too. Could it be that they had some special knowledge? Maybe some insights into engineering and geology that we just haven't rediscovered? Maybe those ancient folks had a way of shaping and fitting the stones that got lost in the passage of time. Another fascinating place is Stonehenge in England. We see those giant stones standing there, and it's hard not to feel a bit of awe. They are heavy, really heavy, and come from miles away. How did they move those towering stones without any of the heavy machinery we have today? Did they use a clever system of ropes, levers, and manpower that's been forgotten? Or perhaps they understood the land in a way we don't anymore, knowing just where to dig and how to use the natural forces of nature to their advantage. These ancient builders also seemed to have their own kind of magic with materials. The Roman Colosseum is a great example. Built thousands of years ago, it's still standing tall despite earthquakes and time. The Romans used a kind of concrete that we can't quite replicate today. Our modern concrete doesn't last as long or stand up to harsh conditions as well as theirs did. Maybe they had a secret recipe or method that we've lost, leaving us to puzzle over how they made something so durable. Even the ancient city of Petra in Jordan, carved right into the rose-red cliffs, makes you pause for thought. It's not just about cutting into the rock, but about the precision and art involved. Imagine having to plan such a massive project without modern technology or computers. Did they have some hidden way of calculating and visualizing these amazing designs that vanished over the centuries? All this makes you wonder about what other marvels existed but have been lost to time. Buildings, bridges, temples, and cities that might have been even more extraordinary than the ones we know about but didn't survive history's march forward. It's intriguing to think of these places filled with life, color, and movement, bustling with people who had access to wisdom and technologies that were uniquely their own. And it's not just the physical structures, but how they might have understood the world, the stars, and the earth. The Mayans, who were masters of tracking celestial bodies, built their temples in Mexico. They did so with such precise alignment that it matched the movements of planets and stars. Maybe they had instruments or methods to map the skies that were much more sophisticated than we give them credit for. The more you think about it, the more it feels like there was a whole other era of human achievement and knowledge that has slipped through the cracks of history. All this pondering over what was lost makes you appreciate what those ancient builders accomplished with the tools and resources they had. It's like they left behind puzzles for us to solve, pieces of the grand tapestry of human history that are missing but hint at deep, shared understandings of our world. Every time you look at these incredible structures, or even stand in the shadow of one, you're reminded that they might hold answers to questions we didn't even know we should be asking. It's fascinating, a little mysterious, and a lot inspiring to think about what might have been and what might still be uncovered someday. waiting just below the surface of our current understanding. Chapter 10. Wisdom of the Ages. Imagine a time long ago. A world where people didn't have computers or phones, but had a deep understanding of the universe. Picture great stone structures rising from the earth, built without the help of cranes or modern tools. These structures are still here today, scattered across our planet, standing against the wind and rain for thousands of years. How did they build them? Why did they build them? And might they have used knowledge we have forgotten? Let's take a walk through history, where stories are only whispered about. With no smartphones to record videos or gadgets to measure things precisely, we depend on whisperings passed from one generation to another. In those days, people looked up at the stars every night, using the sky as a canvas to seek answers. They noticed patterns and changes, movements of the stars and the moon, and wondered what they meant. Consider the Great Pyramids of Egypt. They look like simple triangles, but they hold secrets historians and scientists puzzle over. Imagine being an explorer from many years ago, standing in the sand, staring up at the sheer size of them and wondering how they were created. Could it be that the builders had special ways of moving those gigantic stones? Perhaps they used forgotten ways to harness nature, like water or wind. Maybe they had ways of tapping into the Earth's energy that our modern eyes can't see. Then there are the ancient temples found deep in jungles, like those of the Maya. These people observed the stars and created calendars more accurate than those we use now. They knew when the seasons would change and planned their planting and harvesting with this knowledge. But could there be more? Could they have used their structures to harness the power of the stars, aligning them perfectly to catch light on certain days, marking time not just as a means of survival, but as a way to connect with the universe? Think about Stonehenge, with its immense stones arranged in a mysterious circle. People would gather there, probably to celebrate special times of the year, like the longest day or the shortest night. How the stones got there and the way they were placed are mysteries we try to solve with our machines and theories. And yet, maybe there's something simple we're missing, something that comes from knowing nature rather than measuring it. Could there have been a way to work with the Earth's magnetism? Or maybe the stones themselves held secrets about health, spirituality, or the universe. Peering further east, ancient China offers the Great Wall, built to protect and endure. What if the placement of the wall, stretching over hills and valleys, connects two lines of energy flowing beneath the surface, called ley lines? Ancient wisdom tells us these lines carry energy that can support life, and aligning the wall along these lines could have made it stronger, allowing it to stand firm against both time and invaders. Even in the middle of the sea, the massive heads of Easter Island stand watch. The people who lived there long ago cut these hefty figures out of rocks, but no one can fully explain how they moved the statues to their positions. Stories tell of chants and rituals, suggesting an almost magical ability to coax the stone figures to walk across the world. Ancient people lived in harmony with the natural world, seeing connections that are hidden to us by our bright city lights and buzzing gadgets. They knew things that we may find simplistic or even impossible, having spent years observing the world with a kind of calm we have nearly forgotten. Could the ways they lived, built, and understood their surroundings contain knowledge we need to learn from again? While we invent, explore, and code our way into the future, there's a sense that the wisdom of the past could aid us too. The ancient architects and builders showed us how to respect the earth and the sky, using what the world provides to its fullest. They knew things we are only beginning to grasp in a modern sense: sustainable ways of building and using resources, attuning our lives to the rhythms of the planet, and understanding that we are one small part in a vast universe. This knowledge might not come in printed books or digital screens, but in stories, stones, and stars. Each stone we uncover from beneath the sands or deep in the jungles might carry a lesson we need to relearn. So, whether it's a pile of rocks in a perfect circle or a pyramid structure with a hidden chamber, there might be something more resting in these ancient creations. They provoke us to think, to question, and ultimately to dream about what our world could look like if we better understood the messages left for us, whispered by our distant ancestors through their silent, yet profound, structures.